waits, and Thompson scores!
Masaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Gassman finds Masaba.
Now Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
What a week it's been, and certainly not in a good way. Wages are still unpaid. Dejphon has been charged by the EFL, and finally the Thai media have now picked up on Mr. Chansiri's antics. Not only that, but we've also been placed on the EFL's transfer embargo list. Now, isn't that nice, isn't it? Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. I'm James Mappin. Alongside me, as he always is Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt, it's been some week, hasn't it? And as I said, not for any good or positive reasons at all.
Yeah, no, you just forget how much has actually gone off in this week, don't you? Because it has been mountains this week. It's been an awful lot of news. I said at one point, I think it was whilst I was recording with Simon, I've seen more of people on these streams than I have done my own family this week. I'm sure you feel exactly the same.
Mate, honestly, it has just been, like I said, off seasons is normally we're scratching his heads like, oh, what can we talk about this week? I normally got stuff lined up, and well, that's all being put on the back burner because the landscape changes seemingly every hour, it feels. Now, I know there's been a lot of people in the Discord group saying, not a lot of work's got done this week. Wake up, have a coffee, log on to Discord, have another coffee, scroll through Twitter, and just kind of rinse and repeat throughout the whole day. It has been like that, hasn't it, to be fair? It
has been like that. It's been like that all week. I would imagine it continues like that until there is some movement on the ownership side of things. But yeah, it's... What a football club, James. Just what an absolute shambles this has become. And I know
shower of shit is the three words that I would use, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can bring one ray of positivity and sunshine to everybody who is either listening or watching with us, I've spoken to Shay of Shay's Triathlon earlier on this evening, and he's, for those of you who don't know, he's been really cracking away at fundraising efforts over the past couple of weeks. He's done some outstanding work, and we hope to have confirmed an upcoming podcast with him, because I think it would be wonderful to talk about kind of like the story. And obviously there's a lot of negativity really that's been going on surrounding Sheffield Wednesday over the past kind of like couple of weeks and months, and it would be wonderful to hear just some positive news from just an outstanding member of this fan base who's done so much for Bluebell Wood. So just on...
Do you know what, Matt? Just on that as well, I can remember when we first started doing the pod, which is kind of when I first came across him, he looked like a little boy. And I know this is how life works, and as years go on, you look older. Now looks like a full grown man, and I've just kind of seen him grow up over the ages. And to be fair, following this club probably feels like a lifetime already for him. But
absolutely, that will age you. But yeah, I mean, just on today's update, he's done £736 raising fundraising this today. So it's fantastic, and I just thought it was something that I think would be really not just needed for wider Sheffield Wednesday kind of positivity, but also is something that deserves kind of like a good in-depth conversation. Hope to have some news on that in the upcoming week.
Yeah, it's at Shay's Triathlon if you want to follow him on X and just get involved in all these fundraising efforts. He does quite a lot of scratch cards. He's got loads of signed stuff as well, which you can purchase. I believe he's put one aside for you as well, hasn't he, Matt?
Yeah, there's this is purely down to my indoctrination of my of my lad this year, but he's got into following Wednesday a lot more. And Shay, there is. I've made a donation for a Shay Charles print for his birthday. Not that he'll listen to this, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there'll be one of those that goes alongside it. But yeah, also just while there are people who are thinking about like getting involved and stuff, there is a really good opportunity for anybody who's like an early 90s Wednesday fan going on there with some kind of Hurst, Waddle, Sheridan prints kind of around the Rumbelows Cup final and stuff. So, yeah, please get involved, guys.
Yeah, great stuff. Talking about getting involved, everyone can get involved over on YouTube X if you're watching it live. We can see that we've got Charles in here, I've got Big Artie Shaw. Apologies about Wednesday, by the way. You know, with my lad. I know you trying to carry on that conversation with him, and technical issues.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Come back on. I would say come back on this Wednesday, but we've got the Sheffield Wednesday Trust Fans Forum, which I'll talk about in a second. We've got Daniel in here, we've got Natalie, we've got Tom, James, Douglas, got loads of people, Matt as well. So do get involved in the chat and the discussions as well. I'll mention that. Obviously, Wednesday we normally do the debate show, but I'll be at the Sheffield Wednesday Trust Fans Forum that they announced, which is going to be Wednesday evening. So I will be live streaming it as well. So don't worry, there will still be some Sheffield Wednesday content going out there. So do make sure you get involved. I don't know if there's still tickets available. It is free. They're just asking for a donation to the Children's Hospital charity. So if you want to kind of make a difference or make your voice heard, do get down to that Trust Fans Forum as well. Right, let's get underway. Before I do that though, Matt, do you remember when Dejphon uttered the words, "If fans want me to leave, I'll leave," and then he also said, "If you want me to sell, find me a buyer." Can you remember when he said them words? I weren't imagining things there, were I?
No, those things definitely did come out his mouth, but I suppose the argument could be that it's lost in translation, James.
Oh, right. That old chestnut. But
absolutely.
If you're listening, Dejphon, we desperately want you to leave if it hasn't been made clear for the last God knows how long. And also, I'll not take claim for finding the buyer, but a buyer has arrived at your doorstep as well. So. Just stay true to your word is all I'm saying. But anyway, let's move on then. Obviously, as we sit down this evening, we're into the 9th day without payment of wages for both the players and the non-paying staff. Before we go any further, did you feel that it would get this far? Because I certainly didn't. When I heard that the wages aren't being paid, I thought this is just going to be a short-term thing like it was last time. He'll sort some, he'll put his hand a little bit deeper down the back of the settee, and he'll find the money that he needs. I didn't think it'd get this far, to be honest.
I'm just going to remove the emotion from the situation for a second, because I'm aware, James, obviously, that we're talking about people's livelihoods here. We're talking about substantial impact on their lives, not just, obviously, money isn't everything. But
and just on that as well, Matt, I have spoken to people that haven't received the money as well, and it is really, really shit. Like, I mean, I've never been in that situation where I've not been paid by my employer throughout the years that I've been working. It is really, really shit.
Yeah, I thought it was worthwhile for the purpose of it, just to kind of frame that, because my answer, I don't think is going to shock anybody. The short answer is yes. It was always going to happen, and it's only going to get worse. This has been coming for years and years and years. And I'll say it again for this. He has got away with this before, and he got away scot-free with this because of COVID, because there were no fans in the ground. Fans weren't allowed to attend games. Fans were sat at home, cooped up, and everybody else had a lot on their mind up until that point. We have spoken about the cash and the chairman and situations since last summer, transfer windows, where me and you sat and did a 4-hour podcast about signing absolutely no one and it being down to money issues. We spoke in great detail in October, where we celebrated Dejphon Chansiri's 10-year anniversary of owning Sheffield Wednesday on a 2-hour extended bumper special. And by the end of it, we came to the realisation that, oh my God, there's just been so much stuff that's gone on. This is getting ridiculous. Little did we know around the corner from there was going to be an unpaid tax bill. People who've sat here before me, namely Lewis and yourselves, have talked about it for years and years and years. We all knew this was coming. We've just had a bit of a comfort blanket in terms of up until this point, because I know there's going to be some strong feelings on the manager at the minute. We've had a manager and a playing staff that you can actually be proud of, that's masked all of this crap that's going on.
Yeah, papering over the cracks is kind of a term that can be used. And I think, it has been. But I just think, I agree with what you're saying. We have seen the signs for quite some time. And again, whilst, it's shit that the players haven't been paid, there is an element of the, you know, all right, you should really have enough to kind of get by the couple of months or whatever it may be. And but it's, for me, it's just those non-playing staff, and certainly the quote unquote normal staff that just work at the training ground or at Hillsborough at the stadium doing, you know, normal 9 to 5 jobs or whatever it may be. And you know what, as well, like these will be people that, you know, an opportunity's come up to work at Sheffield Wednesday. They're probably Sheffield Wednesday fans as well. You know, more, there'll be a high percentage of Sheffield Wednesday fans, and it, you know, could almost be like a dream for people to work at the club that they follow. You know, that they followed since being a kid, and then now they get a chance to do whatever that job is at Sheffield Wednesday, and then this as well, and it must leave like a real sour taste in the mouth that, you know, on one hand, you know, this is a football club that turns over millions and millions of pounds. Like there's literally millions going in and out, and maybe that's part of the problem. There's a lot going out and not a lot coming in, certainly right now. And yet they can't pay those people, and you know, they're going without. I saw a comment a little bit before saying from Barry here, have emergency funds been recently made available? Yes, they have, but again, I don't really know how that works. Like, if you've got emergency funds, then why can't you just pay the play? Again, I don't know the ins and outs of it. Yes, I have heard that, but they've had to kind of request that if they need it, which again, like, I mean, I can't remember what it was that we were talking about before, you know, about how people, you know, they're quite proud and they don't want to have to ask for money. You know, it's kind of almost like a sign of weakness that you need to request that money. Certainly for some people, anyway. But yeah, that has been made available, and that is great. But it still remains that the wages haven't been paid by the football club. Actually, you know, how they should be, how, you know, and to everyone as well, which it's just shocking. I mean, we did set up a GoFundMe last week, and a massive thanks to everyone that has donated already. Just shows how fans can just come together in a place of need. I have spoken to someone at the club, and they have passed it to the finance department, and it is with them at the moment. I didn't think it would come to this, that again, like I've already mentioned, I didn't think it'd get to the point where this money might actually be needed and used. I thought that they would be paid. The money that would then just go to Sheffield Children's Hospital charity, and you know, happy days. You know, we move on from that little saga. But here we are. So if you do want to donate, the link is on the Twitter. You can do that. I think we're over £3,000, which is an incredible effort.
I just can't believe we're talking about this, James. Like, really seriously. Like, I can't believe we're talking about employees having to shelve a sense of pride to go and ask their own employer, I need emergency funds because I'm not going to be able to feed my family this month, or I'm not going to be able to pay rent this month, or I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to default on my mortgage or a loan or car payments or whatever it may be. We're not talking about here, you know, I need this substantial amount of money to go and splurge on, I don't know, I want a new jacket or something. You know, we're coming up to a period of time which, if you've got young kids in your life, it's a very expensive time of the year. It's as expensive as Christmas, really, a 6-week summer holiday, where you've got to entertain them, or you've got to put them into camps. They're probably going to want to go away. These families may have paid on a credit card, knowing that they might be able to make these payments further down the line. I think there was a point that was made earlier in the chat where I think the club have got 14 days to respond to this, and after 14 days, it becomes a breach of contract. Now, I'm not exactly entirely sure how steadfast that is, but again, you may be seeing a mass walkout of people in the not too distant future in regards to the club being unable to meet those needs. But as you say, when you were talking about the pride aspect of it, James, I would feel horrible like going and asking that, because it's degrading. Like, it's degrading to you. It's not necessarily from a sense of pride. It's, but you don't want to put yourself through that issue of having to knock on a manager's door or a supervisor's door who you know also hasn't been paid and say, I need the money. Like,
speak to HR department who also haven't been paid, who now will need to sort all this shit out as well.
Because what you're doing there is you're then basically saying, you're not. I genuinely believe they're not intending to do this, but what it becomes is survival of the fittest, basically. By that point, and again, I'm aware that we are talking about people's livelihoods and people's emotions and feelings and all the stress and the worry that this must be causing. But it then becomes like, well, why does that person deserve the money more than this person? Why does this person deserve this? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's wonderful the amount of donations that we've had to the GoFundMe. But can you believe that we're in a position where fans are having to say to like people, we want to play the ticket office, we want to play the ticket office staff, we want to play the club shop staff, we want to play the grounds people, we want to pay, we keep bringing Doris up, we keep wanting to bring Doris up, we have to pay Doris the tea lady.
You know what? We need to get Doris on the podcast. Do you know what I mean? We need, I know you've been sorting out all these other interviews, but your next one is Doris the tea lady. I want that one for next week, Matt. All right.
It's just like, I just can't believe that we're sat here talking about this type of stuff, James. Like, really seriously. Like, when you step back from it, because at the minute with Sheffield Wednesday, it's just one bombshell after another. Every single day there's news that comes out. And I think one of the things that I think Alex Miller and Joe Cran deserve some credit for here, 100%, is they have constantly updated fans on that. Yeah. We're another day without this. We're another day without money being paid. We're another day with, like club staff doing that. And they do genuinely deserve some applause for that and commended about that. It's such a desperate situation. It's
okay though, because I've spoke to Halifax and apparently they accept apologies for your mortgage. So
honestly.
So all you need to do is send a letter from Dejphon, and they'll go, it's all right, it's fine. We'll waive this month's mortgage because your esteemed leader has said sorry. So
the thing is, James, as well, like we're into this point of the month as well. Again, I can't believe we're talking about this. We're on the 8th of June as of recording today. We're into this point of the month now where the majority of bills, which most people front load to the start of the month of when they get paid, they're all out.
Yeah.
So if you did have some sort of disposable or savings in terms of income, that will have all be gone. And you may be just sat in your overdraft at the minute, sat there thinking, oh my God, what happens now?
There's a multitude of things, isn't there? Credit cards, people might not be able to get credit cards. I just sincerely hope that this emergency funding has been used by everyone that needs it, and I just hope that everyone is all right. Like seriously, like I know I'm sure they've been told this 1,000,001 times, but you can speak up, there is help out there and stuff like that. Don't suffer in silence. And I just, again, we're a football podcast and we're giving out, like, I feel like I'm giving like financial advice to people. Like what is this world come to? Like is this really the situation that we're in? I mean, moving on slightly, but the EFL, Matt, have now stepped in and charged both the club and Dejphon Chansiri personally off the back of these wages being unpaid for the second time in 3 months. We can't now say that they're not really aware of the situation, which I'm sure they were already aware anyway. Yeah. Do you think it's a good thing that the EFL have come out and done this as and actually made it a formal thing? I know we have, again, I think it's 14 days to respond. I don't really know what happens after this 14 days. I don't think anyone really knows what happens. I don't know what respond means, whether they can kind of push back on it or not. I mean, I don't think they can really push back and say, oh, we did actually pay them. All these people are just lying. Again, I'm not really too sure, but the EFL are definitely, he is on their radar.
Yes, a really good question, James. And I'm aware that I'm smiling at this because this is where the river of shit really starts for our esteemed leader. I think it changes the landscape somewhat in regards to the interested parties, potential takeover, and it rapidly accelerates all of the other problems around the football club because actually they work counterproductive. You would think that this would accelerate a process surrounding a potential change of ownership or whatever. It actually decreases it and it slows it down, as we have seen. You have all of that. Do you remember, like, was it last? Oh my God, time is just racing by here. Not this week, just gone, the week before, when Adam Shaw was spotted on Ecclesall Road having a beer. And there was the lead up, the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's happening. He's been spotted. There was news flying about everywhere. And then obviously the club have been charged this week. And if you've noticed, everything's gone quiet. Yes, the consortium have come out and given a statement, but that statement was very much, we've put in 2 bids. 2 bids have been rejected. We've not received any further. We've not received any kind of like counter offer or anything like that. So we're just waiting now. The thing is, I suppose, if you are a potential bidder, is why buy now? You don't know what you're buying. Like, you have no idea what you're buying. You don't know whether you're buying a club with embargoes. You don't know whether you're buying a club with points deductions. You don't want to be paying, from the reported facts and figures, that consortium is already paying over market value, considerably over market value for Sheffield Wednesday. Can you imagine you go back in and say, all right, we'll still meet it, we'll still pay over market value, and then you find actually you've been slapped with a 6-point deduction and you can't sign anybody for 2 windows. You're thinking, what the fuck have I bought? I've just bought a League One club for this money. Like, this is mental here. And obviously they work counterintuitively. However, for the problems surrounding the football club, boy, does it accelerate it. It's really, really bad news for the current owner. The charges against us, the club, I'm not really too sure. Reading got hit with about 8 of these, and it did absolutely nothing to them.
Yeah, it's like getting a parking fine, I guess. I suppose. Really, you just think,
you just got to pay it. Yeah, pay your dues and just get on with it. It's the charges against DC that could be the loophole. It could require him to resit the fit and proper test. Now, it's not a guarantee, but it could. And without boring you with all of the details, it focuses on 3 main questions: honesty, integrity, and financial soundness.
Fail.
Number 2, source of wealth. There's another one. And your third one, must provide a proposed plan to operate the club, including estimated cost, funding, source of funding. For the last 7 months, he has been flagging to the EFL, this cannot happen. I physically cannot do this.
He don't know what league. He don't know what league we're going to be in, Matt. So he's not going to be able to give a plan because, who knows? We could be Premier League, Championship, League One. He has absolutely no idea. Source of wealth. Can you put G Casino down as just source of wealth?
But I'm Mr. Vegas. But he's one of those, James, where you just kind of sit there, and I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I think we're still going to be in this for a long time, James, and I know that question is going to come up. And obviously, for those of you who haven't listened to our chat with Kieran Maguire, obviously earlier this week, please go back and have a listen. It's an hour of much, much more qualified chat than myself and you sat on here discussing this, or the Sell Before We Die pod as well that you recorded with them, because they will give us they gave us a really, really solid insight into what could come down the line. And don't get me wrong, feels bad now. When you recorded with them, they were like, it's just the start of it. And you could hear it in your voice going, what? That Cole Palmer meme of just, what?
It'd feel like that. I mean, I do feel like we have rapidly accelerated down that path since then. I think we have gone, I don't know how far down the path we are, but we have certainly gone down. It is also worth noting, and I feel like I've made this point a few times already, in that a lot of people are saying about the EFL need to step in and they need to do with this, that and the other, just like they did with Reading. Yeah. They only did something with Reading because he had charges against him over in China, which then meant that they could kind of fail him on that fit and proper test or whatever it may be. So it wasn't anything that he did over here or anything that he'd done with Reading that allowed the EFL to step in, just to kind of make that clear if anyone were thinking about, the EFL need to do more. It's one of those, and the EFL have got rules and regulations. You can think whatever you want about the EFL. They've got their rules and regulations that you have to kind of adhere to, whether they are kind of right or current or worth anything is obviously up for debate, but they have to stick by the punishments and things such as expensive tickets or not selling players or not putting a shirt for sale until 2 months after the season starts isn't really any of the EFL's problems. It is a problem for us as fans, and we feel like we're being shortchanged every single week or every season, every day at the moment. But that's, you have to kind of differentiate the two. The EFL aren't really going to step in because the fan zone's not open. Do you know what I mean?
You're right, James. It's not their job. It's not within their remit. Now, again, we've speculated quite heavily about the football regulator's remit. I would argue that the football regulator probably won't step in for the fact that we've got AstroTurf and a poorly constructed fan zone. Will they step in to perhaps monitor the club closely and place them under some sort of, watch in regards to what's going on at Sheffield Wednesday? I would imagine so. That's what the football regulator is for. It's to ensure that situations like this don't occur or don't arise. Yeah,
the point I was trying to make with like that kind of, we encompass all those things into the we hate Chansiri. Do you know what I mean? That kind of we add all those together to kind of come up with our conclusion. Whereas the EFL just focus on the things that are happening now, such as not paying people. Now we are actually going down that route, and again, it's very vague as to what these punishments are going to be. Whether it is going to be a 3 transfer window embargo or a restriction or whatever they call, which I was struggling to find, the differences. Like, my understanding is we can't pay for any players, and that also includes loans as well. So kiss your Shea Charles goodbye. Do you know what I mean? That one ain't.
It's already hard enough, James. Please don't.
And he scored. Yes, it was yesterday as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Please don't.
I know. I put out I'm not emotionally prepared for him stepping out in a red and white shirt against us next season.
No matter what he does against us, I say us. It might actually be me and you, James, at this rate.
I've just been to Sports Direct to get some football.
Honestly, anybody in the chat who fancies a game, this could literally be your opportunity here. We're a million miles away from that, and just to think that was only 5 weeks ago. Watford was 5 weeks ago. Mate,
honestly, I have forgot what some of these players look like, or even some. We haven't spoken about any players. Any contract? Barry Bannon's not even signed his contract yet. Just put it out there. Like, he's not signed one. Akin Famewo hasn't. Callum Patterson hasn't. They're the 3 that we've offered. I mean, I don't blame them, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's all gone to the wayside. It's all kind of irrelevant at the moment. I know it's not. It's quite a big thing, but
it'll be fucking relevant in 62 days when the EFL kicks off.
Well,
that is how quick it's coming round. And currently we are talking about nothing to do with football. So I think it's worthwhile everybody kind of like shelving expectations for this season, like right now, and just thinking, there are some bigger issues here rather than what I'm turning up to watch on a Saturday.
Well, I think the next big one is in, I want to say, is it in 20 days' time? I think 28th I've got in my head is when the players return to train. I could be totally wrong there. I know it's by somewhere near the end of this month. That is going to be very, very interesting, because if all these things haven't been ironed out and kind of confirmed, very interesting to see who actually turns up when we're talking about coaches, when we're talking about manager, players as well. It is going to be, if there's ever a time for Joe Cran to come over, and I know he came over for that fire that was down at the ground. If he's going to come over and be sat at the training ground, that would be that one day to see who actually turns up. It might be like Sky Sports News when the video and everyone coming in. But the thing is, because they haven't been paid, they probably like Fernando Forestieri turning up on the push bike this month, or maybe no one at all.
Hey, do you remember when players were complaining about who was on more money?
Okay, now.
No, it's who's on money. Like, that is the difference now. Just on the player wages, James, I would imagine, obviously, I know we'll touch on it because we're coming on to talk about it in greater detail on Extra Time. I would imagine the player wages and the issue there is sorted with the sale of a 15-year-old to Manchester City, which Fabrizio Romano, here we go. So, that's definitely happening. But I would imagine that is what covers it and gets Chansiri out of jail free and be able to put a team of 11 with 4 subs out next season as a bare minimum.
Yeah, he's rolled the dice. He's rolled a 3. I mean, he's landed on chance, and he's picked up a get out of jail free card, hasn't he? That is literally what's happened in a nutshell. I know that's not gone through yet, and I know Joe's come out and said that it's not. All that's happened is he's been given permission to speak to Man City, but
he'll turn that down. He'll turn that down. Look behind him just to see this ground on fire. Just be like, I'm probably not going to go back there, I'll be honest with you. Bailey, enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it. I'll see you later. I'll see you at home.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Keelan Cadamartri on Extra Time. So patreon.com/WTID pod if you want to get that one. Immediately after this, you can watch us and listen to us over there. I've got quite a lot of thoughts on all of that.
Sorry, James, just before we move on, I'm just pulling this one up from Jason here, which says, surely 1.5 million isn't going to get us through June and July. No, it's not. It's going to get us through one of them.
Yeah, it might get us through May that we just gone through,
Oh, fucking hell, it's so bad.
It is so bad. I mean, it's also worth noting as well, and it's just what I've seen. By all accounts, if we go 2 months without wages being paid, so if we get to the end of this month and we're still in the same situation, players can just terminate their contract. Now, I don't know whether they have to go through another month or whether it's just
14-day notice period, James. It's a 14-day notice period that players then have the opportunity. Well, the club has the opportunity to make do on, but they have to come up with all of the money that is owed. So it's not just like 1 month. They have to come up with all of the money that is owed to those players.
And I believe it's right in saying if they get paid tomorrow, for example, and then don't get paid the next month's wages,
it resets. It resets.
Yeah. You have to have 2 outstanding wages,
back-to-back
basically.
months, you have to have 2 back-to-back months of outstanding wages. Yeah, but again, this is no way to run a football club, is it?
Question for you then, and for everyone else, I guess. If that was to happen, who would be the players that would definitely rip up that contract and leave, if not all of them?
Yeah, that was my honest answer, all of them. And ordinarily, I would be saying, 5 or 6 senior players or whatever who've just had enough of this shit show and want to go and earn, like good money. And I don't blame them. The reason why I say all of them is because of the turmoil that is going on the playing side of the club as well. We've got, talk about the players. Bear in mind, a Build interview came out about the manager yesterday. That interview was conducted whilst Danny was still in Sheffield before the end of the season, where he is.
You mean his front room doesn't look like Middlewood, and he wears his training kit
training
just
gear
on
at
normal?
Home, no.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at that, if I'm a senior player and we get through 2 months and 14 days, oh fuck off! I cut my losses and walk away at the drop of a hat. Absolutely, and that is speaking as somebody who is a lifelong Sheffield Wednesday fan. I'd do it like tomorrow, and that's not because I want to see the club burn. It's not anything to do with that. It's because if I was at the age that I'm at now, at 35, same as Barry Bannon, I'd be thinking, I get a day. I get a year here, maybe 2, if I'm lucky, to eke out my career and go and play. I'm going to go see what's out there.
Yeah, on the question of who would be the first, Tony said Windass, Defo. Wigan Owl said, everyone apart from Bannon. Carl's gone with Windass is really hoping to not get paid. Gary's gone with Josh will be the first. George says Palmer would stay. It's everyone kind of saying the same thing. Johnny Owl, Windass, Bernard, Valerie, Gassama, Lowe, any one of them that could easily get a championship club. And another one, David's gone with Windass would be the first gone as well.
Last one, James, from me. Natalie Aiken. Does Doris the tea lady in the office cat know anything about playing in a back four asking for a friend?
Well, if she doesn't, she needs to be brushing up. I want her on Hillsborough Park tomorrow,
dusting off the Sunday-co's, Copper Monday Owls.
It would be Sunday-co. It might be Elevate.
High-techs.
Did Elevate do football boots? Yeah, they've got some of them knocking around. They do everything else.
I don't know. Oh,
Energy drinks, football kits. Do you know what, actually? I was looking through the shirts in the wardrobe, and it was also showing me how much weight I've put on, because that 150th anniversary shirt is in a medium.
Yeah.
I mean, Macron a tight fit. I'm going to say 2XL in the macro. It might be 3XL, I think, to be fair. Yeah. But anyway, I got that one out and I looked at it and I thought, Jesus Christ, I forgot how shit quality that was. Like the badge.
They're terrible.
The badge isn't even, the stitching doesn't even match the colouring on the badge. Like, honestly.
They're so poor.
Really
they
bad.
are so poor. Like, genuinely.
And you sweated so much in them as well. It was like, I mean, if I'm doing any sort of physical activity or not physical activity, I sweat.
As the case may be, from a medium.
Yeah, to be fair, it's painted on now, that one. I tried to put it on for a laugh, and I was like, it is a laugh. But it...
Just coming up with like a crop top on, coming down to Anna, just being like, Anna, does it still fit me?
What do you think? Medium? Yeah, far from it. But no, there's that thread, isn't there, on Owls Talk. I try not to go on there as infrequently as possible. But there's that thread that's all the things that that Chansiri's done in his reign,
God.
and it is if nobody's read it yet, it is a great read just for the laughs. And there's one, I think it says like, I don't know, June whatever year it was, 2017, something about argument with Hurst over contract. June 2018, Hurst leaves on a free, and it's just like all those things, or rejects bid from someone, so and so leaves on a free next month.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
Rinse and repeat.
Nonsense.
Remember when Wildsmith were number 2 as well? That were a good one.
God. Yeah, my personal favourite, because we were doing a few of them in Discord, weren't we? I mean, forever and always it will be Kate Ball. But my second absolute head loss of what the fuck was he thinking is the congratulating Sheffield United on promotion the first time round. The tweet, an official club statement. Are you off your fucking head? Like, Dejphon Chansiri and Sheffield Wednesday would like to congratulate Chris Wilder and Sheffield United on the success of being promoted to the Premier. What the fuck? Stop typing. Like the admin send. No, we don't. No,
we absolutely don't. I mean, the other one for more kind of recency bias was the Cisco interview.
Yeah.
I remember watching that. I remember tuned in watching it, and I'm like, just all you can do is just press that end stream button. Just press it now, and then only the people that in the room will know about this conversation ever even happened. Just press it, and it was like, oh my god, he's going, it keeps going. Yeah. Leighton Palmer. I was like, oh my, and do you know what as well? Cisco looked actually quite chipper when he first started. Yeah. He aged about 10 years by the end of that interview, and he just did not want to be there at all. It was horrendous. Something else that's happened just in this past week, just another thing, is that the Bangkok Post have picked up on it. Now, I know there was kind of some sort of Thailand website that picked up on it last time, but it looked a bit. It was basically a blog or something that's written about it. However, the Bangkok Post it's been around for a while. I looked, 1948 is when it first started. English language daily newspaper over in Thailand, and it's, according to Wikipedia, is the oldest newspaper still in circulation over there, and considered a newspaper of record, which I think means that whatever they put in there is actually newsworthy, not just a load of bollocks. But yeah, Matt, how significant is it that the Thai media have now picked up on it? Because up until this point, they've either turned a blind eye to it or it hasn't reached that far.
Do you want me to be blunt, James? In my opinion, fuck all. It's good. Genuinely, I mean this nicely. It's good for getting the information out there, but you're telling me, his family, his business associates, whoever don't know about this situation, people who've kept an eye on it or would keep an eye on it, pull the other one. For public pressure, yeah, it's great, but what does it actually do? Not a lot. Genuinely not a lot. This was needed in February, March, April to ramp up that pressure so he feels it at home. Then he comes back to Hillsborough and it's worse. Personal opinion, I don't think this has the gravitas that, say, for argument's sake, some people were drumming it up to have. Like, it is good, but it is not like, oh my God, it's made the press in Thailand. That's it. He's going to sell. It's, of course not.
I think one thing that was a little bit, what would I say, concerning? I don't know, but I looked at there was some comments on the article, and there was one which it had a little Thailand flag at the side of it, so I presume it's not just a Wednesday fan or someone poking fun or anything like that. And it said they can get away with not paying wages in Thailand, but elsewhere there are laws to abide by, which was quite worrying that actually someone's actually come out and said that.
You say that though, James. This happens in Turkish football a lot and Greek football a lot. Like, there's been lots of English ex-professional footballers who've come out and said this just happens in those places. You pay your money, you take your chances, really.
Yeah, I guess, which it could go a way of explaining why there's differences between why we feel it's such a massive problem and he seemingly doesn't, I guess.
I've just brought this up from Wigan Owl. Would you care if you read in The Guardian that an English millionaire was bankrupt in a Thai football club?
It's a great point.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed. No.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I just feel like
Exactly.
not in greatest respect, not my problem. Is probably what I would think. If that English millionaire was a relative, maybe a little bit different. You know,
and I didn't know. Yeah, and I didn't know. I'd be like, oh my god,
that is a little bit different. Dragging your name through the mud and stuff like that, and then you go somewhere and you think everyone's talking to you about a relative of yours that you've tried to palm off to somewhere else, and then now they're everyone's talking about it. That is a little bit different, I guess. But yeah, again, another thing that's happened again. Is this embargo that we are now in? It's the world's worst kept secret. It took an age for it to actually land on the EFL website, but it did. Doesn't say anything about the 3 transfer windows or anything like that. It just says that we are now in a transfer embargo. But I think the inevitable is going to happen in that this 3 transfer window is going to be here. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that it has happened and that is the case, and we can't now pay a fee for anyone up until January 2027, which seems ages away, considering that Watford feels like an age away. January 2027, I'll have grey hair and look like Gandalf or something like that by then. But Matt, how much is that going to cripple us if we can't, pay? I mean, look, it's not like we're going to pay any fee for any players now, but you'd like to think that the landscape would change. And I know there's people that are going to say, oh, well, we can, if new owners come in, they can negotiate that embargo and they can get it lifted and all this, that and the other. Let's, again, for argument's sake, let's say that we cannot sign anyone between now and January 2027 and pay a fee for them, which does include loans as well, by the way. Shea Charles, as I mentioned before. It's just like, what would that do to us? Because for me, it's just going to absolutely cripple us, It's to not sign anyone, to improve your team and relying on that middle aisle at Aldi, as I keep referencing all the time, to bring all your players through, and the fact that you have to then speak to the EFL to get the signings through the door, which slows the process down and everything else. It's like I dread to think where we'd be.
Just for clarity here, James, are we assuming that Dejphon Chansiri is still the owner in 2027 if this is the case?
You can have both if you want. Entirely up to you. Whichever.
Okay, let's assume Dejphon Chansiri is still the owner here in 2027. Good God, I will have aged horrendously by that point. 2027 we'll be in League 2 by the end of that 26-27 season, because realistically this will continue. What we're seeing at the moment, this will continue. We may stay up. But obviously there'll be a lot of players with contracts ending between now and then. Let's deal with the transfers first. The inability to sign players other than for a free, we've basically been operating with that for the last 5 years. I know people will cite the EK Ugbo thing, but that was the first instalment of the Sky money that came in, so it's not the chairman. Hence why we didn't get the deal done earlier, because we were waiting for that payment to land in an inbox and then obviously land in a bank account and then go out to kind of like the club. We will have also staggered that deal because we're that brassic. It won't just be, right, 3 million quid gone, jump, that's out the way. As people say you should do in terms of, if you've got a debt, pay it as early as possible so it just gets it off the plate so you know what you're working with. We won't have done that. We'll have maybe paid $1 million this year, $1 million next year, $1 million. Because this is where the other thing is, any amortization fees that we've spread out over transfer fees over the last...
I thought we were listening to Kieran Maguire then talking about amortization.
Sorry, James. But if we've spread out fees, no, it's fortunate that we don't really pay fees, but if we have spread out fees like loan fees for, say, Shea Charles, if we have spread out those fees, if we have spread out kind of like transfer fees, EK Ugbo, we did pay a couple of nominal fees last year for people like Olaf Kabatsky. We've spread them out. Can't pay wages of club shop employees at the minute. Do you think we're going to be able to pay that? The bigger issue is when you get into the second window. So this first window comes and goes. When you get into January, who the fuck's going to want to come here? No one.
Yeah.
And then when you go down to League One and you can't pay fees, and all of the players who have got, a year or so left to run on their deal, who the fuck is going to come? Because they'll have all gone. Genuinely, which free agent youth prospect is going to be advised to come here? We have a manager who's been screaming from the rooftops, I want out. Now, if we by some miracle manage to pay him and he's still here in charge, He's got no coaching staff and about 15 first-team players to work with. There's no pre-season arranged, no guarantee of wages. It's a certain relegation, nailed on certain relegation coming. But then when you flip through to, okay, we've been relegated. That was horrible. We've only got one more transfer window to get through. Who the fuck turns up? Like, again, who turns up? Because by that point, there will have been another unpaid tax bill. There will have been another month where the chairman can't fund to play the way. Yeah, he might get himself out of this. It's with that very short-sighted system and thinking, isn't it, James? He might be able to get himself out of this. And then once the season starts and that match day revenue starts coming in every single game, because it will, because as much as me and you sit here and go, this is fucking disgraceful. Oh, my God, this is horrible. As blue is blue, me and you will still be sat there come opening day in a seat, shouting and chanting and all the rest of it. And the minute that first away day gets released, I'll be sat there frantically trying to get the tickets booked for it because we're all hooked and obsessed. So we'll get through a season fine. After that, who the fuck knows? Like, genuinely, who knows?
Well, the thing is as well, again, we haven't got a crystal ball to kind of see what's going to happen in the future. Christ, if we did, it'd be worn out by now, just trying to find out what is going to happen.
Yeah.
But, let's fast forward to kind of, Christmas, when we know what's going to happen. Season tickets come out on sale. Like, literally, what position are we going to be in? I know we were kind of sent a lifeline when Danny Real came in. A couple of months before that, and there was a bit of positivity, and then everyone was like, this is buzzing. Like, even if we are in League One, what a manager, and people obviously went and bought the season tickets. A lot has happened since that time, since phase one, early bird season tickets for next season. A lot of people saying if it was now, I wouldn't have one. Again, we could be in absolute dire straits if we're not already in there. And it could be like next to no season tickets that have gone on sale. It would not surprise me if it was kind of delayed to a normal time and he uses it as I've listened to the fans. In actual fact, it's because no fucker's going to buy them, which is going to be a problem.
That's my question, James, and gun to your head now. Those season tickets go on sale. You buying one?
Well, it's a difficult situation for me, given the podcast and things like that. If I wasn't doing this, and because I feel like I need to be there to kind of to sit and talk about the game and stuff. But if I would not begrudge anyone that said I don't want to go anymore. And you know what? Like, I have a vested interest, by doing this. I'm one of the ones where I can't come and tell people not to go because I'm one of those that actually I do look, as sadistic as it sounds, like I do enjoy going to Hillsborough. It's like I look forward to it, believe it or not, all the way through the week and stuff. But like as I said, I know a lot of people that haven't renewed their season tickets, and there's zero shame. You are no lesser of a fan if by you not getting a season ticket, because if that gives you, if it brings you joy, great. If it brings you dread and you feel you're then one of those that feels that you're lying in his pocket or whatever it may be, do you like honestly don't feel bad. There's no just get an early bird one the season after when he's not here, because there's no I don't get any privileges. Anyone can buy an early bird season ticket, to my knowledge. You could just walk off the street and get an early bird one for the cheaper price. You don't get any. There's no loyalty.
You don't get a discount for a loyalty either. No, I only asked the question, James, is because I thought me and you would have the same opinion, and this is from my perspective without the podcast. I'd still buy one, and that's not because I want to give this chairman any more money than he deserves in any way, shape, or form. It's because for me, it's a huge part of my life, and I would miss it terribly if it wasn't there. I would lose the emotional connection for a year to the side of the city that my dad's from. My dad's not getting any younger. I mean this very nicely. My dad's not getting any younger. It would be a year out of watching football with him at matches, which I would miss. And looking back later in life, I would really, really regret not going and spending those Saturdays with him. That for me is why I would do it. It's not because I completely agree with anybody who has abstained from buying a season ticket and said, no, this isn't for me. No, I can't stomach this anymore. I'm going to hit him in his pocket. No, I agree with you. I think that's 100%. If that's what you want to do, good for you. Like genuinely, really, really good for you. I just also know that there's quite a lot of us out there who it is a way of life, like following your football team. And I'm not saying for those people who don't renew, it isn't. I'm saying it's so ingrained into myself that I genuinely don't think it would be something that I could give up, if that makes sense.
Joe, I remember in another job I had, I was speaking to a Wednesday fan, and he was telling me how he books his holidays around the fixtures. He goes home and away, and he'll even like book kind of weekends away with a wife.
Yeah,
to the north, to the northeast, or they might head up to Scotland, after that or whatever, or the international break, so they'll go away for a week, a week's holiday. This is a guy who's retired as well. That's how much it means that he doesn't. He was saying how he can't book holidays until the fixtures come out because he doesn't know where who we're going to be playing or where or things like that. That's how much it means. And there's other people that they just live for the football. The season ticket could be however much, but by hook or by crook, they will find a way of getting there because it means more than just who the chairman's going to be. Just kind of going back a little bit when we were talking about paying transfer fees and things like that. Matt, it does beg the question when you look and we've just finished the season and now we can't pay the players or pay the staff. Now, 12 months ago, less than 12 months ago, we were paying £2.5 million for Ike Ugbo. We also signed Shea Charles on with some sort of fee to sign him, some sort of contribution to his wages, etc. And then they recalled him, and then we went and paid even more money to bring him back. Did Chansiri not know that this was gonna happen later on down the line? Has someone just literally pulled the rug from under his feet, or could this have been planned? Like, again, I don't own any business of
sell your house.
so clearly I can't ask any questions. But you have cash flow projections and things like that. Surely you should see where the money's coming in, when it's coming in, and things like that. I don't sit here today and then go, you know what? I've applied for a new job for a promotion, so I'm going to back myself. I'm going to get that promotion, and I'm going to book Disneyland Florida for next year. I'm going to book it tomorrow because I'm going to get that job. That doesn't happen, does it? And then, I didn't get that job. Oh shit, I've got Disneyland Florida to pay for. That's kind of like what's happened, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Except his Disneyland Florida was Ike Ugbo.
Jesus Christ, that's a depressing thought for Disneyland Florida. This is going to be counter to the point that Simon made on the recording that was released on Wednesday night, that the interview that I sat down with him. I think it's his arrogance, personally. I think it's his arrogance. I think it's his ego. If you listen to the interviews that he has given around the last 2 unpaid tax bills, like if you actually listen to it, this last one was a little bit more humble because he realised he was in a tight spot. Go back and listen to the one just after Danny had been brought in, that one around the Cisco Munoz. You want to save your club, you save it. Give me the money. You need to give me £200 a piece, and then we'll see how much you want to save it. See how much this matters to you. It's just pure arrogance. That's all it is. I believe these 2.5 million fees, again, I have my suspicions about where that's money has come from. I think it's the Sky money. The Shea Charles one, on the surface of it, I don't think the actual loan fee has been officially reported anywhere. So
it's still money that we haven't got. Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, James. I am just of the belief that the owner was still so arrogant. The owner was so arrogant up until about 3-4 weeks ago that he was turning down 60, 70, 80 million pound bids.
But what means Bristol City, Matt, we spoke about it before. Bristol City came out in January and said we can't sign any players because basically we've spent as budget. We are not signing anyone in January. And they told the fans that. As much as we would absolutely hate it, and he would get absolute pelters because, well, he would just get pelters for everything at the moment. But just come out. We won't be signing anyone in the summer because of. Just because. Do you know what I mean?
We won't be paying a fee for anybody. We are looking at a loan market, and we may pay a nominal fee for a loan. So that sets the expectations straight away, and we're not going to go out and be able to sign. But again, Chansiri, I don't think, can do this. A new owner could. because it's such a sea change of MO from what the owner has done. And there's too much history. There's too much water that's gone under the bridge. There's too many things that have been like, because again, up until the last 5 weeks, everything out of the chairman's mouth has been attacking and confrontational towards players, towards the manager, towards supporters, towards fan engagement panel groups. Everything has been an attack. Everything has been going on the offensive towards them. There has been no concession of, I have made a huge error here. I now need to seek help. The only reason he's not seeking help in this situation is because this is totally new to him. This is totally brand new, because even, 2 weeks ago, if we're led to believe right by a timeline, or 3 weeks ago from the John Flanagan interview that we're going to touch on again on Extra Time, an offer went in when was the first one? April?
Yeah.
That could have solved all of this. And you chose not to, and you knew this was coming. This isn't like, I haven't got it this month. No, we're talking like vast sums of money here. It's not, you're going to miss that. You aren't going to be able to get that. But in his own delusional mind at that point, he decided to come out on the attack of that consortium and publicly slate everybody attached to it and around it, and talk about how it was a disgraceful offer and how dare you offer me such a valuation. That consortium didn't then just run. They actually came back to the table and made a second bid that was the most for a championship club without parachute payments ever. And he still turned it down, which leads me to believe that 5 weeks ago, he thought he'd be able to run to one of his mates or his business associates and just lend a couple of quid again. Oh, can you tick us that for a while? No. What do you mean, no? No. You already owe me 10 million because you've done this over and over again. I'm not giving you any more money. And then he's turned to everybody else and they've all said exactly the same. It's almost like everybody around him has held a mini intervention for him. And he's now flat out of ideas.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like, we have no idea, and because nothing ever comes out. But as every day passes, every month passes, these sorts of rumors become more and more plausible when you kind of piece it all together. It does make perfect sense. And obviously, he added a little bit of an insight. I think it was the interview that he did with the Star after the last time that he didn't pay the wages, where he said about, he has to invest the money, which was a massive alarm bell for me. Yeah. In that, to me, that said that he's taking money out of the club to then put somewhere else, to then hope that it kind of garners interest or whatever it may be, makes him more money, and then takes that back out and then puts it back into the football club again. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, this is, if that's what's happened and gone wrong. Clearly, he said that he was waiting on money last time that came in for him, and it sorted him out. Clearly it wasn't enough, because it gets 2 months down the line and we're in the same situation. But that is, I can't see that holding up with the EFL as a as the correct way to run a football club. That money going in and out, and then you have all the conspiracy theories of is that why no, he doesn't want to sell the football club, because they're going to open the books and go, Jesus Christ, like what's happening here? Is it a pride thing that he didn't want people to see the way that he's been running the football club? Again, we're just kind of putting two and two together, and I hope for God that I'm getting six. Do you know what I mean? But,
yeah. Let me just add some context to that, James, as well. We also know that there will be no lines of credit in this company that will offer the football club lines of credit, because we know that from season tickets. No credit card company, you aren't allowed to pay on a credit or debit card. Like, it has to go through PayPal or a direct payment to the club, because nobody will set up a finance agreement with him. Like, it just won't happen. We also know that from numerous financial podcasts that we've got, we are unable to actually service the interest rate on the mortgage of Hillsborough. So actually, that's just accruing and accruing and accruing. It's not actually, we're not actually
adding on, aren't we?
Yeah, we're not actually paying any of it off. We're not even being able to service the interest at the minute, which, for those of you who were, up until I started this, financially illiterate, because up until the last fucking 4 months or so, I just sat there and was like, oh yeah, okay. that basically means we are supposed to pay 2.5 million a month, but if a mortgage rate is given at 12.5%, which was, like for a business interest or whatever, people will tell you whether that's low or high, is 12.5% of 2.5 million. We currently can't even pay that 12.5% off. So banks aren't going to lend him any money. So just to add fuel to that fire of, well, where do you go when you can't get money from banks? Who do you go to? You go to your family. Well, your family aren't investing it anymore. So where do you go then? That's to people. And some of those people will take full advantage of you because they know you're in a really difficult situation.
Matt makes a great point, just to kind of add to what you were saying there. He says when banks, etc., know he's in financial trouble, the only people who will give him money now are people with massive interest attached, etc. It ain't going to get better if that's his plan. He's probably speaking to the wrong people to fund this. I don't know. It's not a passion project anymore, is it? I don't know what.
No, it's a headache now. Like, this is just a headache, a massive, really expensive headache and a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, are we reaching the end? I titled this "Is the end? The end is nigh."
The end is nigh. No, it's not.
because it does. I feel like we're way further on than we've ever been. We've never had anyone even remotely interested. Well, they might have been, certainly not publicly anyway. To what most people know. He's been attacked from all angles. He's got EFL on one side, then he's obviously the fans, of course. Then now we've got the media, actual big news outlets, some over in his country as well. Players, they're not going to take to him very, very kindly either. They could have kept him half on side because he's paying their wages, and fairly decent wages as well, if we're led to believe. Same with the staff as well. They might not have said a great deal, but we certainly know that it's a few whistleblowers and a lot of things are coming out of the club, which, that news comes from somewhere, is all I'm going to say. All these things are starting to gain traction, and they're all starting to kind of come together, which makes me feel like, the end maybe is nigh. The problem is I just don't know how far away that is at the moment.
I think there's potential for it, but there's been potential the entire way through. When the first offer came through in April, there was potential when there's been loads of interested in, like, people who are circling around the club. But at this moment in time, for me, it's still on a knife edge. And I go back to my earlier point. We've been here before in 2020, 2021. I suppose the difference being two bids have actually been made public knowledge and have both been rejected, and the owner seems unwilling to listen to offers or even entertain them. That is the public perception, irrespective of what people close to the deal say. That is the public perception from it. He's unwilling to change his tune in regards to how a deal could or should be done. We just have the one interested party at this moment in time that we're aware of. Now, there may be more than that, but at the moment it's just the one from John Flanagan, and we only know about that because of the interview that he gave to Radio Sheffield and Simon, or I say BBC Radio Sheffield or WhatsApp, it depending on when you got it.
Just on that, by the way,
fucking
LimeWire.
LimeWire, mate. I was about to get like 50 million viruses on my laptop, just ready to listen to this 16-minute interview.
Yeah, and I think, what was the title of it as well? It was something like cat video, whatever else.
Who knows, mate?
That was honestly that was dodgy as. But the thing is, I just clicked it and I'm like, whoa, play, and then I heard Rob Staten's voice, and I was like, whoa, I was never so relieved to hear Rob Staten, and I've never ever uttered those words in my life.
That is one of those things where we are going to look back in years to come and go, the Chansiri sale, and just come back and do a reminiscing special, and there's LimeWire's going to pop up and someone's going to go, what the fuck are we in?
I think someone summed it up perfectly in Discord. They said you're either going to get the BBC Radio Sheffield interview or some sort of niche music from like 2003.
Absolutely. Andy Hater's got this one, next one out on MySpace. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's Bebo. I was a Bebo guy, so
Hotel as well. But just coming back to that John Flanagan interview, just for a second, he even said the two sides are somewhere apart. Like, they're somewhere apart. There's been no counter offer, and at this point in time, that's it, pretty much. Could this happen relatively quickly? Yes. Do I think it will? Not really. I think the next couple of weeks and August will be the one for myself. If you're a new owner, by August, the window is practically done. You can then get assurances going into the winter window that you are going to be out of an embargo, because you've got lots of clear room to be able to do so. The feel-good factor, no matter how terrible the product is on the pitch, because it will be, no matter how terrible that product on the pitch is, there'll still be a lot of feel-good factor going to Hillsborough week in, week out, as long as those lines of communication are open. There's no pressure to spend good money on slow horses, which would happen if you take over before August. If you take over before August and there's a week left of that window, boy, every single Sheffield Wednesday fan is going to be, fucking spend. We've got 15 players. You need to chuck as much money as you can. And by that point, we all know what happens when you bring in players late in a window, don't we? You've then got 4 months to instill that philosophy. You've more than likely know how bad of an asset you've got on your hands. Right now, as I said before, James, we've got 62, I think it is, days from the opening weekend. There will still be an expectation for you to go out and splurge. Like, there will still be an expectation for you to go out and improve the product that is on the pitch. Personal opinion, right now, gun to my head, I don't think anything gets sorted before. I'm with you, James. I don't think anything gets sorted before Christmas, personally.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's he's going to rumble on and on and on, and I just want it sorted. I've absolutely had enough of all this backwards and forwards all the time, and I know it's not it's not an easy thing to get sorted, but we've not even got past the initial bid stage.
No.
We've not even, do you know what I mean? Like, due diligence hasn't even been done. Which
the other side of the coin, James, sorry to interrupt you. The other side of the coin here is, look at the speed at which the Reading deal happened. The speed at which that happened does allow us to be even remotely competitive next year. But yeah, please carry on. Sorry, James, I'll just cut you off midway through there.
No, it's fine. No, it's like that though. Like, I can just see it happening now, where they get to a figure as agreed, and then they look and they go, nah, sorry, mate. Like, it's a lot worse than what I initially thought. That is, the amount that we've said we're going to put in is nowhere near from what we can see, and then we're back to square one again, which is just this again, and it just keeps going on and on and on. The other one is, I don't know when the next windfall is going to come in terms of money. Again, nobody really knows how much the weekly or monthly wage situation is, or how much he's even owed. But the worry is that this money kind of ties him over, and then we get to the point where the Sky money comes in. Again, I know that's drip fed in. It's not all in one go. I believe there's 3 installments of that money. I could be wrong. But it'll just, then by that point, the matches are on again, and we've got some gate receipt.
We're 6 games in and we've not got a point.
No fuckers turning up.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? And that is the worry, that it's just, I mean, and to be fair, we could have been operating like this for many, many years. Do you know what I mean? We could literally have been skirting so close to the edge. It's just that it's happened a couple of months too soon, or something's gone wrong. We could have been like this for years and years and years, and we've just been kind of turning a blind eye to it, or people have just been pretending that it's not happening, or people have been saying these things. There'll be people shouting at the radios now, going, I said this back in 2019 or something, that this was going to happen, but now it's obviously it's all come to a head, and there's not a great deal we can do about what's happened in the past. But yeah, we have been saying how hand to mouth we are, and I just didn't realise, I suppose, how hand to mouth we actually are.
Sorry, James. What I was going to say there is, when you were talking about that skirting close to the edge, just to give a slightly different perspective on it, and to add weight to your argument, maybe this has only happened because he has tried to give Danny something in January. And I know we didn't pay fees for players, but we did loan Ibrahim Sissoko, who would have been on a wage. the Stuart Armstrong wage. We've paid, whether we've got paid to get him out of the deal, the Stuart Armstrong wage, if we're going off kind of reported facts and figures, that's one of the highest paid players at the club. Shay Charles, we're paying a fee. Like, I know from our perspective as fans at the time, it wasn't a good enough window. We all knew that. But maybe this is the reason why all of these pitfalls have now kind of hit us. Because if you look at the previous year's window, we didn't actually go out and spend mountains of money, did we? Like, and you don't know how, like Troy will have just been happy to get Ike Ugbo off the books. Like, he was at Cardiff, they've recalled him, he's gone straight to us. If you then look at Jan Paveda at Leeds, they were desperate to try and find him a club. The reason why that deal reportedly fell through is because he wanted to sign on a permanent. The club weren't sure about it, neither was he. So it was a loan deal in principle, like it was a loan deal for the rest of the remainder of the season. And we didn't really try and release anywhere near as many funds, whereas this year there was significant pressure from the chairman to not lose face because the manager had come out and said, talk to the owner. And the owner had gone, talk to your manager who wants to leave. So actually, maybe he has stuck his front out here in terms of like trying to be too prideful again, rather than actually coming out and going, look, I'll hold my hands up. I can't give him a budget. Now, we'd have all hated him, but we all hate him regardless. So what difference would it have made?
Yeah, but I don't have any sympathy for him, though. Like, I mean, it's not like he's been like this all his time at Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, all right, he's succumbed to fan pressure. Jordan Rhodes, let's just throw that one in there. God reminds us at every opportunity that he signed him off the back of fans wanting him. But if my missus says, "Oh, I want a Ferrari," and I go out and buy one tomorrow, I can't then kick off and go, "Fucking hell, I can't afford this Ferrari." But you said you wanted one, like if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, like that. Yeah. We're talking about, just to go back to an hour ago when we were talking about wages and people not being able to pay the mortgages. How's that going to? So, sorry, Doris. I'm not going to pay your wages this week, but we signed Shay Charles in January again, and it was great to watch, weren't it, for them couple of months. Everyone loved him. Best player that we've signed since being out of Premier League, according to some podcast. It's not going to wash, is it, when you're not paying when you can't pay your mortgage? Anyway.
But again, James, I mean. When are we reaching the end? No, we're fucking not.
Matt, when was the final straw for you? When you look back at the last 10 years, what I'm talking as if he's gone, but what was the point where you thought, choose the tagline, enough is enough?
Yeah, I've not liked him for a long time, James, and I think I've made that perfectly clear, even going as far back as when we recorded that initial special. I spoke about the worries and the bits and pieces that I didn't like, even in that first year of getting rid of that consortium and blah, blah, blah. We're talking about absolute final straw. I have no faith left in this chairman. That was when the 6-point deduction came in for the 21 season, 2020, 2021 season. That was where I had absolutely zero faith left that this chairman was capable of running a football club at any sort of level. Before that, he was dangerous. He was unhinged. He was not the owner I wanted, but I believe was just poorly being advised. Since that initial inability to pay players and staff way back when, he's not been fit and proper to run this football club. This time around, it was the inability to provide the best manager we've had since being outside the Premier League with the structure he feels will bring long-term success to the football club, and in the short term, even give us a chance at being competitive in the division. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think, G says, I've not liked Chansiri since that points deduction season, same as you. Yeah. And I'm kind of going to say exactly the same point. For me, that was that one where I looked at it. It was the whole selling the stadium, which is fine. Obviously, at this point, it was a loophole that could be exploited, but we made a right bollocks of it. We couldn't even do that right. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like up until that point, He was riding off the crest of the getting to Wembley and getting so close. And the football was good, and he had a lot in the bank from those first two full seasons that he came in. That people, it was very difficult to criticise him because that was so soon. People were like, "Well, didn't you forget about this, or didn't you forget about that?" So the points deduction was the first point where I was like you can't run a football club in this manner. You've really fucked up, and I was thinking, you're having to use exploit these loopholes in order to get by, and the fact that we didn't have anything to show for it, and then we were in League One and everything else. But I feel like the final nail in the coffin for me was the whole Darren Moore situation, and how that was handled, just how he came across in the media. He wasn't going to tell the story, and then he couldn't wait to tell the story of what actually happened. Yeah. And then there was a bit of backwards and forwards, and it was just like schoolground stuff. Not to mention just the fact that I felt that Darren Moore was going to be good enough to have an average season in the Championship, and we were going to, at that point, I felt like we were going to steady the ship, and he just blew it all to smithereens, and we were back to square one again. And then Cisco happened. It just didn't happen the way anyone wanted it to at all. Even the hardened kind of Darren Moore outers, would have still perhaps agreed that after what happened, he deserved a little bit of a chance. And so for me, that situation just, I was absolutely done. Like there was no coming back from all that. And we're not even talking about financial things there. That just purely from a way that he handled that situation.
But that's it, James, is we're not talking about financial things, is because you can run a football club poorly from a financial perspective, but you can still be kind of liked. Like, there'll still be fans who defend you. There was fans defending him up until a couple of months ago. The only people who are defending him now is Sheffield United fans.
I put that poll up, didn't I? And I think there was like 7% that said they still wanted Chansiri to be in, but forgetting that a Twitter poll is open to absolutely everyone to vote on it.
But it's one of those things. It's the financial mismanagement and the treating of running this business rather than a football club. Treating the business is poor. It's the treatment of people that has been the real thing that has rubbed everybody up the wrong way. For most people, it's the treatment of themselves as a fan. For others, like yourself, as you've just cited there, it's treatment of one of the most genuine people in football. And that's not just Wednesday fans who say this. This is every bugger who's come across Darren Moore. Say, oh my God, he's one of the nicest blokes. Players will say, not maybe tactically the best, but one of the nicest blokes you'll ever come across in football. And after achieving something that historically nobody has achieved up to that point, and nobody's achieved since, blew all of that feel-good factor to smithereens after 2 weeks because he asked to be paid fairly with everybody else. And Chansiri was so upset about something. How dare you come and ask that? How dare you come to me? And just blew it all up. And the real reason for it is not necessarily because he didn't like Darren Moore. The real reason for it is because he couldn't fund it, as it always is. And it goes back to the poor decision he made in ripping up that board of advisors and trying to do this all on his own. And ever since then, he's just dug himself a deeper and deeper and deeper hole, up until the point of here we find ourselves.
Yeah, Alex has said when he turned on supporters, that was the point when he, it was the end. The writing was on the wall for him. Mike, similar thing when he told fans to pay the tax bill. A lot of, again, another one, Owen asking fans to put all the money in to pay HMRC. A lot of people citing fans forums as well, and the way that he conducted himself in every single fans forum. Just his communication style as well. He's just not a way that you run a football club with, tens of thousands, 100,000 supporters, however many, many, what figure you want to put it.
Supporters that we took to Wembley.
It's still coming out now. The congestion's that bad. Matt, I asked this question over on Twitter. I said, if you had to bet your house on how this scenario we find ourselves in pans out, what are you going for? I have to confess, it was a question that someone posted in Discord, which I thought was a fantastic question. I will read some of the comments out as well. Please get yours in the chat. How do you see this situation panning out from your perspective? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit.
I see another couple of months of back and forth surrounding Chansiri refusing to accept the position that he's in. And again, I think we're at that point now. Whether he's accepted the position that he's in, whether he's sorry for the position that he's in, doesn't matter. He's incapable of doing his job as a chairman, which is paying staff. there's a refusal to accept this position. As Simon, I think, alluded to on Wednesday, he kind of decides to kind of soldier on and struggle on, seeing himself as some noble thing. I think he then gets hit with a tax bill. Again, what is it, end of October, where that tax bill's due? He gets hit with that. That, I think, really ultimately sinks him. And by then we have a really accelerated process of obviously getting new ownership through the door. The deal's complicated. The deal's very long. It's drawn out. Chansiri doesn't want to accept the offer that's come in because it's too low, because he's going to take a huge thing back. Meanwhile, on the pitch, we've barely touched 8-9 points in the league by that point, and we are certain relegation candidates, and we go down to League One. But ultimately, I think we go down to League One with a new ownership.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I see it rumbling on. I do think he's going to get by. Just, the money's going to come to him somewhere, whether it is this money from Keelan Cadamartri from Man City. Yeah. It's going to just tide him over, and I honestly, as much as I've been talking about, is the end nigh, I do see a possibility where we are certainly at Christmas and he's here, maybe even this time next year and he's still here. I really sincerely hope that is not the case, but honestly, it's been, it genuinely would not surprise me that he would just keep, fluking it and getting just getting by. He's, on one hand, he's shown that the criticism gets to him, but on the other hand, he's also shown that he just really doesn't give a fuck what people think, and he just keeps ploughing on, thousands of miles away. Just to do my geography there. Is Thailand hundreds of thousands? Anyway, let's gloss over that.
It's a long way away.
It's far away, Do you know what I mean? That's the point I'm trying to make. I genuinely, I could see him still here next year, and I really, really hope that that's not the case. Having said that, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, things can rapidly accelerate, and then all of a sudden, we could be in a position where something gets sorted. It might be that he thinks he can get the money. It might come to a point where he has exhausted all possibilities, and he really isn't getting the money, and he just has to get out at some point. I would have thought that point would have come already, and it hasn't. So who knows? I'm just going to read some of the comments out that we've had. Paul has said, this is over on X, pays wages, selling a young asset, gets league money in, and rolls, I'm guessing rolls compensation, uses this to pay wages and bring in poor recruits. He'll sell gas, peers, trade his debts, will get relegated and pay for League One, lies to make us think he knows what he's doing. He must go. Todd has said he will end up being wound up due to the continued unpaid bills. Then Mike Ashley will arrive with the cavalry on the 11th hour. Natalie said HMRC will force administration. Gold elephants and Chansiri gone. Adam Shaw buys for knockdown price. 12-point deduction. Relegation. New owners. Bring in top free transfers and we get promoted and start again.
I've highlighted this one from James, which says the Birmingham scenario, which is very similar to the one that you've just read out there, James, which is the Birmingham scenario I see us mirroring. Natalie Aitken has also put points deduction, sale, relegation, promotion, and we go again.
Yeah, that could have been the I think that was the person I read out, actually.
If it is Natalie times two, I just thought it was a very valid point. I think that is the most, but personal opinion, I think that is the most logical conclusion to this, because from my perspective, James, and I really don't want to be negative because I know we're going to do like season previews and stuff and getting excited and amped for all the season. And blah,
that's
blah, blah.
Miles away. That is absolutely miles away.
That's a long way away. But I know me and you will sit there and go, come on, these kids will be good. That we played one pre-season friendly against Scarborough and we were all right.
Hey, the supercomputer has us 15th. Is all I'm going to say.
Fucking off in the bin. What on earth?
That supercomputer is running on fucking Windows 95, I think. It is, yeah. I mean, they've had Wrexham 6th. It's got to be done for. I mean, it's for context.
It's engagement farming, isn't it? It's engagement farming.
It wasn't from Opta. It was from the Sun. is all I'm going to say. So
which gives you the high brow. I know this is rich coming from me and you on a podcast, James. But that's the highbrow level of journalism that the supercomputer has fallen to. How the mighty have fallen.
Yes, I mean, and it's got to be wrong because they've got Sheffield United in second as well. So
yeah, that ain't happening. I mean, Gus Harmer's going for 50 million, I heard, and Chris Wilder's getting a buyout as well, and Ollie McBurney's coming back. Oh, fucking shut up, man.
Anyway, right, let's wrap things up. We are going to be going over the John Flanagan interview, giving our thoughts now the dust has kind of settled and what we think are all that the Florida Consortium and that whole situation. You know, why we think they've come out now to speak to the media. What was the advantage of doing that when the bids have been rejected and things. We will also talk about the news that Caelan Cadamarteri has been given the opportunity to speak to Man City, and a reported £1.5 million fee should be landing at some point if obviously terms are agreed and stuff like that. It's 15. I don't know what terms, and I don't even know how we've got to this figure of 1.5 million, but we will be talking about that and giving our thoughts. So I have got a few thoughts on that whole situation as well. So head over to patreon.com/WTRD pod. You can you'll find a link to that there, so you can watch us and hear us talk about that for around about half an hour or 45 minutes. Give us 10 minutes or so and we'll be over there. And also, I've not been plugging it for a while. Get over to the merch shop. You can buy loads of Danny Vril t-shirts, which I'm sure you're not going to want.
Sorry, Joe. That has just fucking sent me that.
You can buy a fantastic Paul Valentin t-shirt as well that's over there.
We must have a Darren Moore sweater somewhere kicking about.
It's in the bargain basement section, along with the George Byers t-shirt as well. So the Barry Bannon one might be there, but I hope it's not. Yeah, plenty of stuff. If it's just, even if it's for the North Stand, hopefully we'll still be there come the start of the season, but you never know. That might be condemned as well, so maybe that t-shirt's going to be defunct as well. But no, all the links are over on Twitter, on the link tree. You can find them all over there. But no, thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all, as it has been every single week. But no, we'll see you over on Extra Time. Cheers.